residents don't approve a limited district. So if it's not approved by the voters, you know, what would you propose, I guess, then as a private citizen without being in any board? What would you propose doing if the city of Austin does not live up to its responsibilities of maintaining our parks and pools at the current level of service? Yeah, well, let's start with place one. Go ahead.
All right. Well, that's why I feel that it is very important to have this limited district, to have a more powerful voice with the city of Austin and hold them accountable. Because if the limited district doesn't form and you are not happy with what Austin does, then it's you against them. And it's going to be tough to organize a group financially to fight the city of Austin, fight City Hall. That's why I support the limited district, so we can have a stronger voice with the city of Austin and make them accountable for the service plan and the services that they say they will provide. And it's going to, like I said, if we need to take on the city of Austin, it's going to be very expensive. And I think the limited district is the way to keep our voice strong down in City Hall.
I'm a project manager for the Public Works Department at the City of Austin. I manage projects from inception, planning, through construction. I have experience with, meeting with neighborhood associations and how the city responds to individual residents, and they respond to individual residents. Mr. McCracken responded to Liz and I as individual citizens. All you gotta do is drive the 19 miles down to City Hall, make an appointment, and talk with somebody. You can even email them, you can call them on the phone, something will happen. I don't need to spend an extra $700 a year to ensure that some folks that are employed in this neighborhood are taking care of our parks and pools. It can be taken care of, and I'm sorry that you may not have the faith, but a lot of people can't afford that extra money. It would be a real burden, and it's going to affect the value of your home. You're going to pay $700 more in taxes than a comparable home based in Austin.
I think it's going to be very important that we have a limited district available to us so that Austin here's our voice. We can take the responsibility for our own neighborhood, take care of ourselves, take part of the burden off the city of Austin, and afford this limited district. I think we can do that through the limited district, and we can respond to you, and then we can get Austin to listen to us. I think it's going to be better in numbers, and when you have a legal entity behind you.
I happen to believe that we don't necessarily need a government entity to solve all our problems, and even with regard to neighborhood upkeep. I'd love to see citizens here in Andersonville establish a helping hands unit. We could have a volunteer task force to help people who need a little fix-up around their home and maybe can't afford it. Maybe they've had a medical issue, or we could do that as a community, and that's the way it used to be done. And civilization has kind of lost that camaraderie. Or we can decide that it must be done through a government entity like a limited district, and look at taxes on a $150,000 home. The cap, the taxes, just for the limited district, could go as high as 50 cents. That's theoretical, 50 cents. $750 a year if it were to go that high. So do we want to outlay several $100s a year, or would we want to volunteer our weekends, a couple weekends here and there, have a task force that goes and gets materials from the recycling center and does fix-ups or does pool watchdogging? Just a thought.
Well, I think the reality of the situation is that you're not gonna have $700 a year in taxes, number one. That's what you get now. I mean, you know, when you got all these other services that go along with it. So that's not gonna happen. I just don't believe that's gonna happen. Number two is you're not gonna get people to voluntarily go and repair the problems of neighbors. That doesn't happen either. So, in my view, you need somebody that's going to represent you, that you have control over whether they're in that office to represent you or not. And the only way you can do that is to have a limited district. And if they're not doing right by you, you can at least vote them out. What's your alternatives? If you have somebody that's, you say, oh, well, Austin, they're going to do well for me. Now, what if they don't? How are you going to fix that? You're going to have to try to organize that. You've got an organization, a limited district now. You just got to define what its function is going to be. And you need somebody in this that's sitting up there that's going to represent you and minimize your expenses and use that $10 million properly. That's what you need here. And I want to be able to help you to do that. And so, you know, I think you need to stay with that limited district, is my opinion.